Hey guys, Jonathan here at Shadow Foam, and we're back in the workshop this week after 2 explosive Colin Furs videos. We were so lucky to go down there and help Colin get organised, and we had loads of questions asking us about the logos. They couldn't believe that Colin's logo was better than my logo.
Yeah, that looks better than mine, that.
We wanted to set things straight in this video, and we're going to be showing you how to cut some of those popular power tool brands in all of the colours that we offer in Shadow Foam. And we're also going to be showing you how to make this pretty cool neon backlit logo sign here, and how quick and easy these IKEA frames are. So, lights out. Right, first things first, we had to pop to IKEA to pick up these ribber picture frames. We picked up 6 of these, and they are just pretty standard cheap IKEA picture frames, and they're pretty solid frames. They've just got a pretty weak back in them. So we will be probably adding a more solid back. We'll figure that out later. But for now, all we need to do is just open them up, and you'll see that pretty much there's 2 parts of these frames. You've just got the outside black frame, that's all we want, and then you've got this really weak and flimsy centre bit. So we'll be popping those out. I can measure this up, we'll get some foam cut to size in all 6 colours, and then all we have to do then is print our logos off. That's just a standard printer, so that's 50.5 centimetres and then 23.5 centimetres. We'll probably go for 17, 18 centimetre deep logo, so it looks pretty full. We want to fill up that frame, and then we'll do all 6 logos looking quite nice and balanced together. So that's all we're going to need. A word from Colin before we head on the road.
Now, before we go back to John O cutting the Shadow Foam, remember to subscribe.
I think we're going to be milking that all year, so big shout out to Colin. But yeah, let's get on the road.
Right, so it's that easy to cut the foam logos. We thought, I'll do it while I'm on the road. So I'm just heading down to London. We've done a project today. We've stopping over in a hotel, and we thought, well, get started with the logos here. It's that easy. You can do it in a hotel. You don't need very much stuff. You just need one of your cutting proof gloves out of the cutting kit. The cutting kit's got everything you need. We've got loads of different offers on the cutting kits, and they come with the scalpel, the blades, the instructions, the glue, everything you're going to need. We've then printed off the logo, and it's a simple case of placing it where you want it to go. I've taped on all the edges because it doesn't really need much. We just don't want it moving around. Once it's there, we don't want it moving, because otherwise it's going to spoil the effect. So it's as simple as, we're going to start with the first letter here, R, and the most important thing is you start with the centre bits, because obviously we're going to cut that piece of paper out, it's going to fall out, it's going to move around. So always start with the centre sections, and literally we're just cutting through them. We're just literally as if we're cutting the paper out, and as a side effect we'll cut the foam underneath. It's dead simple, just using the scalpel. We're not cutting very deep into the foam, and we're just, if we can, we're just dragging the scalpel rather than cutting it like a saw. And you'll see then, if you've gone all the way around, you can take the piece out. It's important to start with the inside piece, because if the letter moves even slightly, you're going to lose the effect of the logo. It's going to look really dodgy, and we don't want that. So if we cut around the outside, it's very likely that the letter will shift. So by cutting the centres, we ensure that the outside hasn't moved. And that's my first top tip. Right, so that's the first letter. We'll cut the rest out. Right, so that's all of the cutting done. That is probably the hardest bit. After that, it's pretty simple. If you've done it right, you shouldn't really be able to detect where you've cut, but you can go back and press down on the foam, and you can see the cuts you've made. And all we want to do now is just go back around and make sure that we've not missed anywhere before we start trying to peel. So we're just going to go back around all the letters and make sure we have cut all the way through that black layer that we're going to go to peel off. So when it comes to cutting through this, you just want to make sure you've gone straight through the black layer. But you can overcut. You can cut, 10, 15 mil into the 30 mil foam, wouldn't be a problem. I usually make a little bit of a mental note. This is a bit of a top tip too. This is top tip number 2. Make a little bit of a mental note. I'm cutting down to that little nib on the scalpel, and that means I know I've cut down at least 12 mil all the way around, and that's more than enough because we know we've definitely gone through the black layer. Okay, right, time to peel it back. And that is the finished result. Let us know if you've got rigid tools. Maybe that's a logo that you think you could have a crack at. But if you've seen the thumbnail, you know that we're not just doing the rigid logo today. So let's move on to the next one. Right, so next up, we'll do the yellow and the DeWalt logo. So same as before, we're going to tape it into place, make sure it's centered where we want it, and then we're going to cut around the letters, peel it all back. If I've got any more tips, I'll let you know. Right, so we've done a logo, but you can see here that the smoothness of the bottom of these isn't as good as the last one. So, top tip number 3 is pick up some of our foam smoothing spinners. These make it dead easy to kind of just tidy up the rough looking base that you might end up with, especially with something like this where you've got really big wide letters. So, since it's a DeWalt logo, we'll get the DeWalt impactor. We just put the small smoothing spinner inside, just like that. And then we literally just use that to smooth off some of the lumps and bumps. Right, so all you have to do then is follow the same process on all the letters and you'll get a perfectly smooth finish. And if you want to find out all the ways on how to get a smooth finish on the bottom of your cutouts, go and check out this video here. We did this one a couple of weeks ago and this shows you loads of different methods you can use to get a proper smooth finish. And if you're a DeWalt fan, then go and check out this playlist. We've done loads of DeWalt videos and I'm sure you're going to enjoy them. So that being said, let's get on to the next one. So once you peel back the paper, this is top tip number 4. You want to follow all the letters, all the cuts you've made, and focus on the corners. You'll find that when you go back and you push down, you'll see that some of the corners haven't cut through. And you want to make sure you have got them all the way cut through, because if you went to peel it back, it would tear out. And it's having those properly cutting corners that give you that really crisp finish. So I'll go across this now, I'll recut it, make sure all the corners are connected, and then we'll peel it all out. So when it comes to peeling, the only tip I can give you, this is tip number 5. And you'll see that the black layer, you can kind of get a little bit of a fingernail under there and lift it. And you're only going to peel off that top 3mm. So once you've lifted it, it does peel back a little bit easier. And you just want to follow it along with your finger. Just follow it along nice and steadily. And you'll see that it just lifts. And you do end up with a pretty flat finish doing it this way. Just following it along little by little, easing off that foam. Right, so that's the first one done. Let's do the rest. I think I really like the Ryobi logo. I've never really spent much time looking at it, but I like that one. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. But yeah, that's the third one. That's all my tips. So I'll do the other 2 logos and I'll come back to you. Right, that's those 2 done and they look fantastic. Use the exact same technique as the other 3, but the next one's a bit different. So for this one, the Sealy logo, we're going to be cutting the inverse. So we're going to be cutting around these Sealy letters, but then we're also going to be cutting around this kind of like rectangle shape and then peeling back the inverse and leaving the letters in. So I thought we'd show you that one. Same technique though, we've sellotaped down the paper template and now we're just going to cut around it. Right, so that's the last one done, and I think that inverse effect does look really, really cool. I love the blue. Hopefully you like it, but we'll get it in a frame. And then you may have noticed that we haven't been putting backs on any of these. And that's because we need to cut a piece of timber to size and then pin it on the back. And although I don't mind working in a hotel, making the most efficient use of my time, I can't really start cutting timber in here with a jigsaw. So that's something for the workshop. So we'll take all 6 of these back to the workshop and I'll see you there.
So we're back at the workshop and we've got the picture frames still looking really good, but we have to pin the backs on, as I mentioned. I'll have a look through our scrap wood pile. Hopefully we've got a bit of 8mm or 11mm MDF. I'll cut that to size, pin it on the back, and that'll be perfect. So just measure this. We've got 525 by 256 millimeters. So I've cut those down to size, and that should strengthen them up and hold the foam in place. So let's sort that. That's all the backs done, all cut to size, which is perfect. All I've got to do now is pin them all on the back. So that is nearly the last one, but we've started putting them up there, and these frames are so much more solid when you pin a back on. They go from being quite a flimsy picture frame to being a really solid, nice looking frame that can hold a fair bit of weight. If you put a French cleat on there or a bracket, that would go on the wall and hold a fair amount of tools, a lot of weight. Same thing we've done. This is the exact same technique we use for this French cleat wall. So if you've not seen us build this, click here, go and watch that video, because we use a very similar technique to build this. But yeah, for these logo frames, I'm really happy with those 5. But the one thing I thought that these could do with, or the one thing that I thought would look nice, is having a light shining through the logo. So there's probably a few ways to do this, and I think if you're interested, drop us a comment below, because we probably could do a dedicated video to trying to light some of these logos up and see how cool it looks. But I did have these Energizer push lights. These came from B&M, I think it was, maybe they were 20 quid, and I've had them for another project, still got them, and I think they might be quite cool to see the effect. So hopefully we'll put the batteries in, we'll put them behind the foam, cut them in, and that way to turn them on and off we can just press on the foam and they'll just light up, and hopefully we'll get quite a cool effect. So before we pin this back on, we'll cut those lights in and then we'll see what it looks like. So that is the back on, and hopefully, if all being well, it's all looking good. I think we've got one light off in the middle, so I can just push on these hopefully. I mean, that one's been a little bit, there we go. So we've got all 6 lights on, and I think that looks really good. I mean, there's definitely a better solution to lighting up this logo, but I think the effect is really cool. It's like a DIY neon sign. Obviously, if you've got an off-cut of foam, you can cut any logo in it. If it's DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, whatever brand you've got, Ryobi, you can cut the logo in. These IKEA frames are, you know, 5-6 quid. Let us know in the comments if you fancy making one of these. I think this is quite a cool DIY build for your man cave or for your workshop or in your toolbox. It does look really effective. Let's see it with the lights out. And that looks even better. I'm pretty buzzing with that. With the lights off, it really is. It's kind of got the full effect there. Let us know in the comments if you would build one, how you would change it, how you could make this better. And subscribe if you've not already. We've had loads of subscribers and it's great to have you all with us. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully if you've come from the Colin Furs build, you can let us know what logo you'd like to see. Do you want to see us do a Furs logo like this? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, why not check out some of our others? We've got new videos coming out every week. And Colin Furs, what's the quickest way for people to see these videos? Subscribe.